I'm Jackson Slett. Last Tuesday, the legislature convened for its biennial 60-day session. This session is currently set to cover a plethora of big issues in the Commonwealth, and here's what happened this week in the state legislature. The first thing that happened this session was the swearing in of new legislators, a prayer, and the filing of bills. While usually this is most of what is covered in the first week of the session, this year the House started off the day with heated debate on rules changes, followed by the first look at redistricting. Before the House could address any new maps, Majority Floor Leader Rudy introduced a House resolution limiting the time to debate on a bill and setting a bill as being already posted. The House Democrats opposed the bill, calling it another nail in the coffin of democracy in our Commonwealth. However, Representative Rudy argued it was merely putting in word rules that were already followed by representatives, as well as making the House more efficient in passing legislation. There was, however, rebuttal to this, once again arguing that the posting requirement let members of the public consider a bill before it enters committee. House Resolution 1 passed, however, the State House on a party line vote. While this was not the main issue discussed this week, the Senate did hold a meeting on the Education Committee to discuss Senate Bill 1, a bill that would take power away from local school councils and instead give the power to school superintendents. The specific powers stripped from the school councils include the ability to adjust curriculum, removes their ability to hire principals, forces school council members to sign non-disclosure agreements when consulted by the superintendent, and follows for the removal of council members who violate the non-disclosure agreement. It also gives school principals more control over allocations instead of school boards and councils. This bill is sponsored by 10 Senate Republicans and no Democrats, and was sent to committee this week. The bill is opposed by Democrats, insisting that this is an instance of taking away power from local government. This was the main course of the General Assembly's bills this week. Before the maps, the House and Senate passed a bill extending the filing deadline for all candidates to later in January, which was quickly signed by the governor. The House redistricting bill that had been released at the end of December was filed in the House on Tuesday, along with a bill redistricting Supreme Court seats. In the Senate, a new map for the state Senate and Congress was filed. These bills then went to their respective state House and Senate local government committees. The Senate redistricting bill was lamented by both Republican and Democrat legislators. GOP Senator Adrienne Southworth specifically argued that the maps were not representative of Kentucky, and she filed 3 amendments to the bills, giving a detailed explanation of why she thought her maps were better. She withdrew her first 2 amendments and instead motioned for the approval of her third. However, nobody, not even a Democrat, seconded her amendment. She ended up voting no on the congressional and Senate maps in the end. The Senate and congressional redistricting bills passed with a 28-4 vote. Notably, it was Republicans who made up all of the no votes on the congressional redistricting map, and only one Senate Democrat, Minority Leader McGarvey, voted against the Senate map. In the House of Representatives, Jerry Miller sponsored the bill for new House districts, and Jason Nemes sponsored the bill for new Supreme Court districts. Democrats also proposed a House redistricting bill last Tuesday. However, it did not move beyond the Committee on Committees. The Republican map did, however, pass through committees where it was debated on the House floor. As opposed to the Senate bill, these bills passed largely along party lines. Throughout the week, journalists, analysts, and Democrats argued the bill was a move against women, seen as the majority of the incumbents set to face each other were women. There were also arguments against the Senate map, which gave Fayette County only 1 Senate district, despite it having a substantial population for 2 districts. After a vote on Saturday, both maps head for the governor, whose intention is unknown. However, considering the support already shown for the bills in the General Assembly, a veto by the governor would likely be overturned. More recently, however, pertaining to the maps, a University of Kentucky law professor argued after looking at Republican data on the maps that they were illegal and violated the Voting Rights Act, seeing as there is no longer a single majority black district, where there were previously 2. However, there is yet to be a lawsuit filed. We had not originally intended on discussing the budget this week. However, on Friday, the House Republicans surprisingly filed their own budget bill, House Bill 1. This broke Kentucky's precedent in which the state house normally submits a budget after seeing a recommendation from the executive branch. This was also shocking considering the seemingly positive response House and Senate leadership had to the governor's state of the Commonwealth, and their seemingly willingness to work with the governor. While the budget bill specifics have been made public, we will refrain from covering the specifics until it has been heard in committee and the governor has made his budget address this week. However, if you are interested in it yourself, there will be a link in the description. These budget and election bills were not the only bills introduced this week. Here we have selected a few bills that we feel are likely to be heard or passed, or are just interesting. House Bill 10 was filed Friday by the Speaker of the House. This bill removes legislators' ability to pre-file bills before the legislative session. A constitutional amendment was introduced by Republican Representative Banta, which would limit state senators to 4 terms. House Bill 14, which would not allow any public school or public charter school to teach around matters related to sex, race, and religion. This bill would incur a $5,000 deduction of school funds for every day schools are found in violation of the act. It also calls itself the School Non-Discrimination Act. It is sponsored solely by House Republicans. Senate Bill 26, sponsored by 2 Republicans, would create a definition for fresh produce labels on food and require state of harvest and season harvested information provided by food stores. Senate Bill 24, sponsored by Democrat Karen Berg, would require firearms that are confiscated to be destroyed. Senate Bill 9, which is sponsored by Republicans, makes an appropriation for K-3 reading, introducing reading assessments for K-3 students, and changes the process from an intervention to support. Last week, we neglected to mention a bill sponsored by Republican Representative Maddox and others, which prohibits businesses and schools from requiring vaccination documentation. Thank you, mathematician, for telling us about this bill. If there are bills you are interested in, please comment below and we will be sure to look into it. Next week is likely to be budget week, with the governor set to give his budget address and the Republican budget bill to be heard in committees. Aside from that, we are likely to see many new bills introduced, and those already filed could be heard in their committees. If you are interested in our state legislature, stay tuned and subscribe, as this session is only just beginning. And being educated is key to being an active participant in democracy. If you would like to watch legislative proceedings, find and contact your representative, or track a bill, we have provided a new link to do so. We previously used the KY Bill Tracker, however we are now using Robert Kahn's KY Political Data website. A link to both will be provided in the description of this video. Thank you for watching.